If you're thinking about selling your home, there's something I really want you to understand before you start spending money on improvements. An upgrade is not the same thing as maintenance. And knowing the difference can save you thousands of dollars and help you understand where your money is actually going to add value to your home. I'm Tanya Tinsley-Lill, a Raleigh area real estate agent with the Total Package, and I see this all the time. A seller will often tell me, we just replaced the roof, so that's going to add $20,000 to the value of our house, right? Well, maybe not, because sometimes you're not adding value. You're protecting the value that's already there. Let's talk about the difference. Let's start with maintenance. Maintenance is the stuff that you have to do to keep your house functioning properly and prevent it from deteriorating. Think about your roof. If your roof is 20 years old and leaking, replacing it is absolutely important before you sell. But here's the thing. A new roof isn't necessarily an upgrade. It's bringing the house back to a condition that buyers expect. The same thing applies to the HVAC system. If your HVAC system is old and inefficient and struggling to keep the house comfortable, or it's on its last leg, replacing it might be necessary. But you shouldn't necessarily expect to add the entire cost of that HVAC system to your asking price. Why? Because buyers expect the major systems of the house to work. They don't walk into a house and say, wow, the HVAC system works. Let's pay $15,000 more. That's not how buyers think. They expect the roof not to leak. They expect the HVAC system to work. They expect the plumbing and the electrical system to function properly. They expect the windows to be reasonably maintained. And they expect the house to be clean and cared for. That's maintenance. What about 20-year-old carpet? If you have carpet that's 20 years old, stained, worn, and smells like pets, replacing it before you sell may absolutely be the right thing to do. I would say it is. But again, that's not necessarily an upgrade. You're removing an objection. You're making it easier for a buyer to say yes. Because if a buyer walks into your home and immediately thinks, I'm going to have to replace all of this carpet, they're going to start mentally subtracting money from their offer. And sometimes they won't even make an offer. So replacing that carpet may not add $10,000 to the value of your home. But it could prevent a buyer from discounting your home by $10,000 or $20,000 or walking away altogether. That's protecting value. Now let's talk about upgrades. An upgrade is different. An upgrade is something that improves the appeal, functionality, or desirability of your home beyond simply keeping it in good working order. The kitchen is a great example. Let's say you have a kitchen that's functional, but it's dated. Maybe you have 20-year-old cabinets, laminate countertops, older appliances, and lighting that hasn't been touched since the early 2000s. A well-designed kitchen renovation can actually increase the perceived and potentially the market value of your home. Why? Because you're giving buyers something they want. You're not just fixing a problem, you're creating desirability. And that's where the difference becomes really important. Cosmetic upgrades can add value. Paint is another great example. If your walls are dirty, scuffed, and beat up, painting them is maintenance, or at least basic preparation. But if you take a dated home and strategically update the paint colors, the lighting fixtures, and the hardware, now we're talking about cosmetic improvements that can make the home feel newer and more current and more desirable. And that can absolutely influence what buyers are willing to pay. The same can be true for updated lighting, modern bathroom finishes, new countertops, updated flooring, landscaping, a refreshed kitchen, and a beautifully renovated primary bath. These things can change the way buyers perceive a home. Thinking about relocating to the Raleigh area? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it down below. From the top employers, the best hospitals, and a boatload of other things that you need to know before making the move. The best part is that this guide is 100% free. That's right, you heard me, 100% free. Just click the link in the description or top pinned comment. I hope that helps. And perception matters enormously in real estate. But here's the part sellers need to hear. Just because you spend $50,000 on your house doesn't mean you added $50,000 to its value. This is one of the biggest misconceptions I see. You have to ask yourself, am I fixing a problem or am I creating something buyers are more willing to pay for? If you're replacing a roof because it's leaking, you're fixing a problem. If you're replacing an HVAC system because it's barely functioning, you're fixing a problem. If you're replacing rotten siding, you got it. You're fixing a problem. If you're replacing 20-year-old stained carpet, you're removing an objection. But if you're renovating a dated kitchen with beautiful current finishes, now you're potentially creating additional value. If you're transforming an outdated primary bath into a beautiful spa-like space, that can create value. If you're improving curb appeal so the home makes a dramatically better first impression, that can create value. There's one more thing I want sellers to think about. You don't want to over-improve for your neighborhood. If every house around you has a $30,000 kitchen and you put in a $100,000 kitchen, you're probably not going to get that entire investment back. Real estate value is influenced by your location, your neighborhood, your competition, and what buyers expect in that particular price range. So before you spend money, I want you to ask, what does my market expect? And more importantly, what will actually help my house compete? Because that's the goal. We're not trying to create the most expensive house in the neighborhood. We're trying to create the house that buyers look at and say, that's the one. So what should you do before you list your house? This is where I recommend sellers take a step back. Don't start spending money randomly. Instead, look at your house in 3 categories. Number 1, must do. These are your maintenance items: roof, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, water intrusion, rot, safety issues, anything that's broken or not functioning properly. These things may not necessarily increase your home's value, but they can absolutely hurt your home if they're ignored. Number 2, should do. These are the things that may not be technically broken, but they're going to create buyer objections. Old carpet, dirty grout, scuffed walls, outdated light fixtures, overgrown landscaping, pet odors, excessive clutter. These are the things that make buyers start calculating how much money they're going to have to spend after they buy the house. Number 3, could do. These are your true cosmetic upgrades. A refreshed kitchen, updated bathrooms, new lining, modern hardware, improved landscaping, strategic cosmetic changes that make your home feel current and more desirable. These are the improvements that have the potential to create perceived value. The bottom line, before you spend a lot of money getting your house ready to sell, remember this: maintenance protects value. Cosmetic improvements create value. And sometimes the most valuable thing you can do isn't adding something to your house. It's removing the reasons a buyer might say no. That's why I don't believe every seller should get a list of things to renovate before they sell. Your home, your neighborhood, your price point, and your competition all matter. The right question isn't, what can I improve? It's, what will give me the best return and help my home compete in today's market? And that's a conversation you should have with your real estate professional before you start writing checks. Because the goal isn't to spend the most money getting your house ready. The goal is to spend the right money. I'm Tanya Tinsley Little with the Total Package, and if you're thinking about selling your home in the Triangle, I'd love to help you figure out where your money is best spent and where you should simply leave well enough alone. Because not every improvement is an upgrade.